Okay, so now it's live. So I think we're just going over the interviews. Really, I think just what we found out. Does anyone want to start, or
Do we need to state our name?
you can just
Yeah.
state it when you say your interview? I guess.
Got it. Okay.
Hi, Madison.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Sorry I'm late.
Oh no, you're fine.
No, you're fine. We just started, so you're good.
Okay.
All right. Did anyone want to go first? Is anyone like dying? Tell us. Okay, I can go first. I don't mind. Okay, so I'm Melissa Cordier. Okay, so sorry, I have my paper on the side, so I'm just gonna kind of read it. So the first question is, oh, so I interviewed someone from the company, like the organization Journeys. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it. Maybe the people have been in Rexburg. And so basically, it's they help children and adults that have disabilities, and they teach them life skills at this organization. So I interviewed the lady who's over the children, like her that area, not the adults, just the children. So I asked her what led her to get involved in organizing. Oh, sorry, was that me? Uh, okay, so she first said that she was a therapist for 10 years, and then she just got tired of it. And then she got this offer, and so she went for it. She just wanted to work with kids, and so she worked with Journeys. She said one of the problems for the families here in the community are the transportation. Like they can't get to the organization, the kids that need the organization to learn these life skills. So, and also there's a lot of Spanish speaking families in Rexburg, and I didn't really think there would be, but there are. And she says that there's not enough people to translate. So these children or adults are coming to this organization, but they can't understand them. So that's another issue. Um, so basically, like how does Journeys help children and families locally? They just teach the children, like they have autistic, Down syndrome kids, like they have them from all the different scale, and they just teach them the skills that they need in like life, basically. Like they don't just play games with them or do things with them. They like take them out in the community and show them like things that they can do, which is I think is actually neat. Like I think sometimes we miss that even when they're disabled. Um, so she said I was asking her about if the organization is child or family focused, and she actually said both. She said parents come to them, letting them know what they want. Like I want you to help my child with this, and then they help them, and also they also focus on the child as well, like what his needs are when he gets there. So she just said families go to them. We don't go find them. They come to them. Um, and then let's see. This organization is not paid. It is by the state. So the families don't pay it, and so it's free, which is nice. And then she says the community has been super supportive. They obviously let the children come and kind of like figure things out. They're the community knows this organization, so they're very welcoming and they encourage them to come. And so she said that's super nice. And also they give this organization like free or discounted things that they are going to go do, which is a huge help as well. And then let's see. Um, oh, and then the last question I asked was how has this organization impacted families? And she just says they give them because she was talking about how the children with disabilities used to be just kind of pushed off and they weren't able to go to school like way back when. And but she said now we give them the opportunity to get through school. Like we help them have those skills in school, which helps the teachers and the other students in the classroom. So it kind of just has impacted like families just to be positive about this, because obviously it's probably hard to have a disabled child, and so they get at their level and they just help them prepare them for those skills. So that's what I did for my interview.
Yay!
I actually have a friend who works there.
Oh, do you? Yeah, it's like really neat. I like it. It was really fun to interview her. She was cool.
Good.
All right, who wants to go next?
I can go if you want.
Okay, go. Yeah.
The people that you interviewed are actually people that I contract with as well, which I think is kind of interesting. Not that specific group, but we have groups here locally that are very similar. But that's kind of why I avoided that and did something different, because that's what I've been doing for years. But I actually interviewed, she's a member of the church, but she's her and her husband both are police officers. She is a detective who deals with what is essentially the Special Victims Unit, the kids. Kids and young women, basically if you're under 18 and you've been abused, beaten, burned, whatever, she's the one that they call in. And so what led her to get involved with that side of it was that the last two detectives that did the job lasted less than 90 days. And they basically vacated that whole position. There was nobody there. And she basically said to herself, you know, if somebody's going to do this, I'm going to do it. Not because she wanted to do it, but because her, internally, her belief in the whole eternal perspective made it easier for her to approach and deal with these individuals. The most prevalent problem in the community, I just kind of finished her question and said it must be drugs, and she said, no, absolutely not, it's alcohol. She goes, drug addicts oftentimes don't maintain custody of their children long enough to have too many problems. Our state is very good at removing children from people who have meth addiction, cocaine, any kind of addictions like that, especially if they've been busted for stuff. She goes, it's alcohol that is number one. She goes, every single time, in every single instance, 100% of the time, the victims that she deals with have been abused by somebody who was drunk, in process of getting drunk, in process of staying drunk, and this, you know, it's just a perpetual cycle. A lot of them haven't been sober in years, and it's predominantly alcohol was her biggest issue. When I asked her how she helps families and children out, she goes, no, we help the children out. She goes, and it's my firm belief internally that there is always somewhere better for these kids to go. So it is not my job to try and maintain these families as they currently are. It is my job to see to it that these children never ever go back to those families, and that they go to families that will actually care for them. And I thought that was really interesting because we read so much or hear so much about people trying to keep the family together. And I mentioned that, and she said, these people have gone far beyond the place that they need to be to ever be a family with these children again. She goes, it's not all that uncommon that these folks, you know, hit rehab, get better, get jobs, and move on with their life. But generally speaking, these children are never going to go back with them again. And so she said, it's not really my job to maintain those families, but she does work as a liaison with many of the agencies that do foster and care for these kids and send them out. She keeps in contact with all of them as much as possible and tries to make sure that the families that they're dealing with are good for them, essentially. And it kind of answers the other question too. Her division is not exactly family focused. You know, to repeat the same thing, it's their job to get these kids out of those situations and get them into families that will help them. But she did kind of back up and say something to the effect of that if she did consider herself family focused, it would be in focusing those children into new families and getting them into groups that would help bolster their self-esteem and give them an actual future. Basically, because I know her really well, we kind of talked a lot. I didn't ask a whole lot more, but I asked her the one question I asked her how she really copes with this sort of thing, and she answered it by saying, well, believing in the eternities helps, that these people are here for a reason. They've suffered what injustice they've suffered, but that her idea on who these people are is day to day changing. Said, yes, I know that they're a brother, they're a sister, they're somebody that I'm going to see in the eternities, but oftentimes in these situations, she says, I have to completely turn that off, and I don't think of them as a person at all. I have to think of them as a number or a file or a bag of meat. And I thought, that was really sad. And I said, Shirley, that's really, really sad. And she goes, I know, but she goes, that keeps me from becoming a very, very bad person and doing very, very bad things. So she even admitted that she has to turn off her own perspective quite often in order to cope with the job that she does. So, fun interview. I shouldn't say fun. It wasn't a fun interview. It was a good interview with a fun person. But she's been doing this. This will be her 5th year. And like I said, previously the longest anybody had done it was for 90 days. So I think she's got a pretty good idea on what she's doing. So.
Hey, Scott.
Yeah.
A couple of things that are kind of interesting. You're probably old enough that you remember there's something called the DARE program.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I actually got stuck in that program teaching it for a couple of years. I mean, it was okay, but I wanted to be on the street. So
Yeah.
anyway, one of the aspects of the DARE program talks about the fact that alcohol is actually a drug also. As is nicotine. They're just happen to be sanctioned by the government. Right. And so the reality is you're still impaired, and so there's problems there. So, yeah, that's really important what you were sharing. The other thing is I just remember I actually worked as a counselor working with gang members for 10 years in Southern California. And one day, the fun part you should just share this with your friend. She'll get a kick out of it. But one day my brother-in-law, who was a Phoenix police officer, said, why don't you come to Arizona and just become a cop instead of having to talk with them and deal with them? Just arrest them. It's a lot easier. And he was right. It was just a whole lot easier just to go ahead and arrest them and let someone else do all the worrying about things.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think she's at the point now where she doesn't do a lot of worrying about anybody. She just does her job, and she does it pretty well. She's got a fantastic conviction rate. And she said about 9 to 9.5 out of 10 of the children that she has to interview and go in and deal with are in either foster or have been permanently adopted by somebody else. So working out pretty well.
Excellent. Yeah, you have to. Good. She has to turn off those emotions quite a bit. So anyway, sorry.
No problem. No problem.
I'll put my thing in real quick. I'm trying to get off. We had a merger with our company, and so it's been crazy. And I'm trying to get off to our vacation for our family in about another day. So I didn't interview anybody. So there you go. F for me. I didn't even know we were interviewing anybody until I heard you all talking, and I went, "Wow, I must have some." So, so this will be good. For once, I'll be more
here.
clear.
That's awesome.
Now you remember how I showed you guys the sun a few minutes ago?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just wait 5 minutes.
Oh, wow.
It's blacked out and pouring right now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Well, we needed it, but it happened really quick. Weird. Anyway, sorry.
I remember now, by the way, why I missed that, because I don't know if it's in this class or the other, but I had a presentation about alcoholism and family systems theory. So I did it a week early and didn't realize I had done that. But that's what I was putting my time and effort into. So missed. Anyway, didn't even realize I was supposed to be interviewing somebody this week.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
All good. So I can go next unless you want to go next, Madison.
No, you're fine. You can go.
Okay, so I interviewed my sister, who is a foster care parent. I thought this was a good one since it has to do with family and advocacy. Anyways, I asked her what led her into going into foster care. She said that it was her desire to help the community, and also through examples through her parents and other people that she met within the social services and stuff like that. I asked her, what do you see as the most prevalent problem in her community? She said drug and alcohol use, and the misunderstanding or the underestimation of unified parents. She said that's a huge thing, of parents not being unified and not realizing their potential. And to see their own value. And because if they don't see their own value, they get into drugs and alcohol, and then from there, it just kind of spirals down. They get their children taken away through different things, such as stuff that Scott mentioned, harming their children, things like that. The next question was, how does her organization help children and families locally? She says that they offer rehabs for families, both who have had their children taken away, but also who are in need of help. So before their family's taken away, they get a chance of going into rehab. She also said that they can help them find jobs and employment, helping them find their recruiters or showing them, helping them with their resumes and things like that. She also said that they can help them find homes through putting them in contact with realtors, or she also said subsidized housing. They can help them with that as well, filling out the application. She also talked about respite care, and respite care is you get it if you're a foster parent, but also if you're a single mom. She gave me an example as if you're a single mom and you have a bunch of kids and you're pregnant and you're about to have a baby and you have nowhere to turn your kids to for those few days that you're in the hospital. You can call respite care, and they can take care of your kids for up to 3 days, she said, without your kids being taken away or put into foster care. Well, I guess they kind of are in a foster care, but not technically in it and in the system. They're just there for 3 days while the mom has her baby, and then they go back to the parent.
That's cool.
I'm sorry, what?
I was saying that's really cool. I didn't know that they had that part of the foster care system.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool too. I didn't know they could do that. I know that you could foster parents have breaks and stuff like that. They also do respite care for the foster parents. So if the foster parents are having a really hard time with their foster kid and just need a break for a few days, that kid can go into respite care and it will go to another family just for a day or two until the foster parent can catch their breath, and then it will go back into the original foster care family.
Wow, that's a good idea.
Let's see. They also...
Wouldn't that be cool if you could do that with your own kids too?
I was just thinking the same thing. I mean, yeah, that's right.
I guess
Sorry.
it's just called babysitting, but...
Yeah.
So the last question was, do you...
I just said that's what grandparents are for.
Yeah, grandparents too. So the question was, do you feel your organization is child or family focused? She said it's both family and child focused. The whole main part of foster care was to get the child back with their parents, if the parents were following the rules and where it was safe for the child to go back. They said if the child doesn't go back within 6 months, then usually there's not a hope for the child to ever go back to the parent. Usually then at that point, after 6 months, around that time, the child will either go to different families within the foster care system, or they get adopted out. So they said that within the first 6 months is the critical time to get the child back with the family. And then I asked my sister as well how long it took her to get licensed. She said she took around 40 hours worth of classes. She had to get fingerprinted twice, one for the adoption paperwork side and one for the foster care side. He also had to get CPR certified, and that was like a whole day class where they had to fill out a bunch of paperwork and things like that. So, yeah.
Yay.
Andy, my wife and I have talked about foster care, but we never get to it because, again, my kids bring home a whole bunch of strays on their own. So.
Sounds right.
That's awesome.
Really, we have a lot of folks who live with us, and almost always it's someone whose parents are going through a divorce or something. So it's like, well, bring them in. We'll see if we can help them a little bit. Hopefully, we'll have a pretty large family in the next life. Good presentation. Thanks. That was awesome about foster parents. Wow.
Yeah, that was a good choice. That was a good take on the assignment.
Thanks.
So I guess I'll go. So what I did for my interview is I interviewed the manager of the Boys and Girls Club.
Hangouts.
The Boys and Girls Club
They know
in Nampa, Idaho. And
tomorrow. My app doesn't let me pull up my calls for tomorrow. So Dad needs.
Hey, Jerry.
Shh. All I had was covered. Sorry, I'm trying. I gotta. Sorry about that. I thought I was hiding it. Okay. I have to start work early tomorrow, and I'm going to lose my dispatcher. So I'll put the phone away from me, and I'll talk.
Okay. So yeah, I interviewed the manager of a Boys and Girls Club in Nampa, and he said that he got involved with the Boys and Girls Club because he knew some people who worked there and thought that he would enjoy it because he's always liked working with kids. So he started as a staff member and he loved it. And so he's been there years and years, and he just slowly moved his way up to director of the. I think he said he did the activities. He planned all the activities for the kids. And he says that the most prevalent problems for families in that community was that they were a farming community, and so people often worked long hours, but they didn't make much money. So he said that poverty and not enough family time were the big problems that came from that. And so what the Boys and Girls Club did was they provide inexpensive but structured childcare from 7 to 6 p.m. And so it gives these kids a place to go rather than just staying at home. And some of these kids are really, really young. And so they focus on strengthening the family, but they focus more on the kids. So they give the kids the tools that they need to, in turn, strengthen their families. And he said, I asked him what improvements he's seen since he's started working there, and he said that when he first started working there weren't many teenagers that came, but they've more than doubled those numbers as he's been working there, and that's been really good because that gets them out of trouble because it gives them a place to go to have a good outlet. And he said it was really rewarding to watch kids that were struggling with behavior and stuff at first, and then they slowly grew to improve with the structure of the Boys and Girls Club, and they were able to make friends and stuff. So that's pretty much it. But
Yay!
Awesome.
Good. Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome.
Well, all right. Is everyone? I'm gonna end it.